welcome to those who are joining online live on Facebook. This is the Watering Can, where we help artists grow strong roots in business and bloom in their creative careers. Tonight is part of the Artist Speaker Series, where we bring in professionals who will share their ideas and experience to help you with business and professional development. We meet every second Tuesday, except we do not meet in December, and we end in May. There are some thank yous that we'd like to share. Greyfelds Modern for letting us use this event space. Sioux Falls Art Council for fiscal sponsorship. Donors both in kind and monetary. And then the Sioux Falls Area Community Foundation for past support. Tonight we're going to cover what it takes to get your work into an art gallery. Some other topics is your work ready for a gallery, leaving a positive impression, and then art consulting with the Pavilion. Tonight we have an amazing speaker. Her name is Erin Castle. She truly knows the Sioux Falls arts community inside and out. Erin is an advocate, curator, and consultant with over 20 years of experience supporting artists right here in our region. She's a South Dakotan native, an Augustana University graduate, and has worked everywhere from small arts-based businesses and custom framing to large-scale art consulting. You may know her from her time as a general manager at Greyfelds, or her current role as a curator at the Washington Pavilion. And she also helps bring major public art projects to life across Sioux Falls. She's actually recently done a mural at the Sioux Falls Co-op, so if you've not seen that, go by and check it out. There's a pretty cool story behind it. And we're lucky to have her here tonight. She sits on multiple different boards across public art committees. She's on the Sioux Falls Art Council, and she just really donates her time to try to have more life into the Sioux Falls arts community. So we're lucky to have her here. Please help me welcome Erin.
That was very overwhelming. Thank you so much. That was a really wonderful introduction. Again, my name is Erin Castle. Just to kind of speak to what everybody else in this room was talking about, I was born and raised in the state of South Dakota.
Can you speak up?
Yeah, I can speak up for you. I'm happy to do that for you.
And you guys can come closer too if you'd like.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
feel free.
I've worked in the arts community here in Sioux Falls for a good 20 plus years now. Former boss in the back, thanks you, Steve, because he gave me a really amazing opportunity to work and create my own art within this community, and that's really what has brought me to stand in front of you all today. My first job was at a place called Heart of the Vine. Was a very small coffee shop on 41st Street. I think I was 15 years old, and I spent most of my time working on my art projects in the back and giving my friends free coffee. So sorry about that, but also really enjoyed my time, and I've been very fortunate to be a part of this arts community for a very long time. So I worked here in this building. In fact, I painted a lot of these walls, helped kind of make Greyfelds, this underground space, what it is. But I'm so thankful that they have a new owner and they are doing incredible things. I love seeing my friends' art on the walls. And really, that's what I'm kind of here to talk to you about today, is really just like developing the relationships that will lead you into some of these gallery spaces, because it really is about the way that you communicate and the relationships that you can build and friendships and that kind of thing. So I want to take some time to talk about demystifying the process behind approaching curators and gallerists in your community, and how to talk about your art, and just making it a little bit easier for gallerists to say yes to what you're offering. As you can probably imagine, somebody in my role is a pretty busy person. At the Pavilion, I've worked there now for about 3 years, but again, I've spent a good 20, 25 building the relationships that I have, because I truly do care, not only as a visual artist that started from the very bottom, and I really got opportunities because of friendships and kindness and being true to what I created, and working in a space that allowed me to be me. And I want that for all of you. But what it is really truly that I'm hoping to get through is that we are very busy as curators. We're walking all over the place. We're going to art studios. At the Pavilion, we have 8 galleries that we are filling regularly. They all have different themes. I'll get into a little bit more of that as we go through, but it is quite the process. And things do take time because we're going through a lot of different avenues, a lot of different people to have these conversations about how things work within the full scope. So patience is very much required, but we do very much want to discover you. We want to discover more art because that's so fulfilling for us. That is, the bread and butter about what we do is learning about what you make and sharing that with the community. But I want to give you some tips, some ways to make it easy for gallerists to say yes to the work, and also, ways to get you to that point because you might not be there yet. I mean, I know I was close, but I was still straight out of college. I have photographs printed in a photo album without a lot of information, but you don't always get people that are just willing to take a quick chance on you. That's not always the case because, again, we have a lot of irons in the fire. So, but truly, your professionalism is what's going to remove some of that friction. So being able to approach with a real plan is going to help you through. So, why does this matter? Because again, this isn't about gatekeeping, this is about access. Your talent really does matter, but good communication is what's going to open that door for you. And we do, again, want to discover artists. So yeah, professionalism is going to make it really easy for someone to engage with the work that you're creating. So there will be some red flags that I'll go through, but also I think it's really, really important for artists to kind of reset their mind about what it is that they're creating. So many of us, myself included, minimize themselves to fit into someone's time, or we feel like we need to fit into this little box. So I want you to be thinking about that as you're crafting, your emails, you're putting together your CV, whatever it might be, but going from, please give me an opportunity to, here's what I make, does this fit anywhere within your parameters or within whatever projects that you might be working on. But again, you're offering something that has value. What you make, what you spend time on, it matters, regardless of if it's right now or down the road. You're not asking for a favor. You're asking for space, and you've earned it. So leading with the work. So before you reach out, I want your art to be the thing that makes the impression, not necessarily just you yourself. I mean, that makes an impression too, but lead with the work. So your art should introduce you before your email does. So before you do the reaching out, you should have a nice website, if possible. Again, I know that that's going to come at different stages of your creation process, but if you are ready to reach out to a gallery or a consultant for commissions or whatever it is, have a place for us to go that's easily accessible. a clean website or portfolio, or 10 or 20 strong images, but not everything you've ever made. I don't need to see the thing that you made right out of high school. If it doesn't have a story or doesn't pertain to what you want to present overall, it's not going to be pertinent. Again, like when we don't have a ton of time, I want it to be quickly accessible so that I can share that story, because it's not just about what I see. I still have to tell that story to more people. It might not be like that for every gallery, but it is like that in my particular line of work. Having titles, sizes, mediums, dates, and prices if applicable. So when you're showing me your work, especially on a website, or if you're presenting something, I want to know those details. So what kind of paintings you're doing, if it's sculpture, whatever it is, I want to know all the details, and I want to know it early on. I don't want to have to email you back and forth to get that information, because it just makes things take longer. And a short and clear artist statement. It doesn't have to be a thesis. I don't have time for your life story. I hope to learn it when we get a chance to meet, if we get to that point. But for that purpose, I just need it quick and easy and clean. So I gave a little example. In fact, give me 1 second. I have a little example that I'll share with you guys if you want to take a look at it. I guess I could pass it. I hope Judy doesn't mind, but I have an artist that came in here to this gallery one day when I was managing, and she knocked my socks off because of her preparation. And I mean, her work spoke for itself, but when she handed me a binder, now this one is because she has a full show prepared. So this is a little more than what you would hand to a gallerist when you're just making your initial contact. But this is like a prime example of like clean detail. Everything is laid out. Like this might be a little over the top, but it gives you a really clear visual of what made it easy for me to say yes. Because again, like everything was organized, it was clean, it was simple to be like, damn, that's well done. I really appreciate that because it made it so easy. So, again, one point that I wanted to say too, if they can't understand your work quickly, they can't advocate for it. That is so important. Okay, so doing your homework. Your strong outreach is specific. So when speaking about like Pavilion, for example, we have 8 galleries. 8 of those galleries are sponsored. Those sponsorships kind of speak to what they have a theme for. So one gallery is specific to photography. Another space is more contemporary work. Other space is specific to the heartland. So landscapes, things that represent South Dakota, the Midwest. One is more specific to Native American artwork that represents the tribal plains. So being aware of the place that you are applying is important, because that's showing us that you've done the research. You've looked at who we've represented, the kind of work that this gallery represents. Like, are they only showing local landscape artists and like, hey, I can see there's a gap in your repertoire. I think I could really fill this space for you. Or, understanding what that curator's focus is. When I know that you've been here and they approached me and said, hey, I saw this beautiful fiber arts exhibition. I feel like my show could represent this antithesis of this show because this, and this. This shows me that you are really thinking through what it is that you would present and why it might be a good fit. So just do your research on the business, the space that you're trying to fill. Let's see here. And really that's going to show just some intent. So a cold mass email, that's an instant no from me when I can feel that like you didn't put any thought into this. If this is like a chat GPT generated, that shows me you don't really give a shit. You're just sending this out to every place that you Googled that says you're a gallery. You didn't think about it, you don't really care, you just want your art on the wall, and it's gonna be everything you made for the last 20 years, and it's not really a retrospective. It's just like, oh, I copied this picture from National Geographic. Like, that's not what we're looking for. We want your story, we want to know what you're about and what you're trying to say. But yeah, again, a thoughtful sentence that's gonna show relevance. So yeah, your email. I don't need a book. I want it quick, I want it clean, and I don't want that to sound like I don't care about you, because I truly do. It's just when I have 40 emails in my inbox of, other people's priorities, and I really, you are my priority, but I have a lot of other people that think they're my priority, so I want to be able to siphon through those things. That's really helpful. So a brief introduction, tell me about your work and what it's exploring, why you're reaching out, a link to your work, and a thank you. But if it takes longer than 60 seconds for me to read it, or for you to get through it, I might not be able to get through it entirely. So again, that might sound cold. I hope it doesn't, because I hope you know, I really, really do care. I just don't always have the time. And I say I, it's not all about I. I'm talking artists or gallerists in South Dakota in general. Let's see here. But yeah, also as far as your attachments, don't make them huge. It shouldn't be bigger than 20 megabytes tops. 5 paragraphs is way too long. I don't want to hear about your entire practice, but I would love to get to know that if we can get there. And then your tone, again, we talked about this a little bit before. I want you confident. I know it's really hard for us because we so often just try to, we're told to be smaller. At least I felt like I was. Don't be sorry to bother me. You're not bothering me. This is the part that I love the most. It's not a bother. I know you're an emerging artist. What does that mean? You still need a place to get there. You've been doing this for a while. Yeah, maybe you've only done it for a year. That doesn't tell me that you aren't very talented or that you have something to say. That's what I want. I want your story. I want what is it that you feel like the world needs to hear? What is it that you need to get out of you and that others might really glom onto? So aim for politeness, being clear, that grounded confidence. Don't be stiff. I think one of my superpowers I'm learning is my ability to disarm people. I did go to school for this, but I'm not an academic. I want you to feel comfortable in the spaces that we are in. I know I work for one of the largest museums in our state, but I don't want you to feel like you can't come in because it's supposed to be ours. You're telling your stories. I'm here to elevate you and elevate the kind of work that you do and tell that story from the smallest to the highest point. In the work that I've done in the last few years with my co-curator, Janet Anderson, we're trying to eliminate a lot of barriers. Appealing to community, reaching out to people that have maybe never shown before so that you have a place to put on your resume later. I got to show at this show this year, put that on a CD because, I had Black Sheep Coffee to put on my CD, and that doesn't exist anymore, so nobody knows what that is. And that was the only thing I had on my list out of college. And we don't want those barriers to exist. We want you to have a place to feel comfortable. We want you to have a place that you can work with other artists and meet them and talk about their process. We also do the Art Collective. We've done that for gosh, I think we're on our 3rd year. We do it twice a year. We invite 70 artists into the Everest space for 2 days. It's free for people to come and for the artists to come, or at least for that organization to come in and spend those 2 days with us. And then those artists make their money. I think it's like a $50 fee for them to have a table through M, and she does it in an amazingly economical way, where she's having, half of them are brand new, and the other half have maybe done it once or twice before. But again, trying to break down those barriers that you can show your work right alongside an academic that's been practicing for 50 years in the next room. We want it to be inclusive, and that's what I'm trying to do from the inside. So I just love that that's what we're here to do. But again, don't make yourself smaller. Be bigger. I want that for you. Okay, so links, attachments, we already talked about this a little bit. But again, give me a link to your website. Don't give me a whole bunch of large attachments that I can't open. Don't send me a Google Drive folder with 40 images on it. Basics. Please don't text it to me. I know there are so many people, and I'm so blessed to have a really large scope of people that I'm friends with and friendly with, but I can't deal with Facebook Messenger, Instagram, all that stuff. Even if you know me personally, please don't send it to my personal account. I cannot deal. And neither can any of the other curators in this community. I know that's hard, but if you want to do that, send me an email and say, hey, I want to talk to you about a show. What email address should I send it to? Happy to share that. That's great. But again, anybody else, any other places that you're doing that through, find the proper channel so that we can properly respond. Even if we're buddies, I can't do backdoor deals. That's not how this works. So let's make a deal on that, okay? Let's see here. What's next? So yeah, thinking about long-term relationships and setting healthy expectations. Relationships do take time. I, again, have been very lucky to spend a lot of time learning about people, seeing their spaces, learning about their practice, and I've also been able to be a practicing artist as well. So, just having those conversations about what kind of paint are you using? How did you make this? Continue to do this. The watering can is so valuable that we get to all be in a room together and talk about these things. I'm so grateful to have gotten to play a small part in this day. So thank you guys for being here and showing up, because that's truly that's so important. But again, setting those healthy expectations of okay, if I have to tell you no, or if a curator or whatever has to say no, or if you don't hear back right away, don't take it personally. Just know that it might not mean right now, and also just do your best to take it gracefully. And again, sending messages and so forth, just try your best to be as patient as possible. Follow-ups are great, but not incessant, right? And then again, showing up, just like we talked about, attending those openings, introducing yourself. I love that there's name tags. I'm sorry I didn't put mine on. I wear a name badge all day, so I just threw it when I got here. So sorry I didn't put a new one on. But introduce yourself briefly. Stay visible, not pushy. Don't hover. I know boundaries are hard. I'm still working on them. I have a hard time with them, but here I am in front of all of you trying to tell you to have them, so let's try. Okay. So here we go. Yeah, so I already talked about this, red flags. Art worlds are small. It's a small town. We want to make sure that we're being kind and elevating each other. Really, that is so critical. I want to make sure that we are in a healthy arts community, because it can get toxic, and really we are at a really weird point in the world right now. I don't know if you're all feeling that heaviness. I want to make art that elevates us all, or gets out whatever that frustration is. But I wanna make sure that we are cultivating a space in which we can have a healthy conversation and debate and, you know, let's just show up for each other and try to be kind and good, and like, when we mess up, we apologize and move forward or whatever, but like, this is a small town, let's keep it good, and I don't know, I'm doing my best. So, let's see, what's next? Be ready. If you wanna do a show and you send me a cold email or whatever, like, and you don't hear from me in 6 months, that doesn't mean we stop making and just think like, okay, well, I didn't hear from them, so it's a no. Like, be ready at all times, like, keep making, keep pushing forward. If you've got a body of work and you wanna start on to the next phase, please do that. But like, be ready, have your bio ready, keep tweaking it as things come up. You get another show, like, make sure to add that at the time, be as proactive as you can. If you need another person to edit it, ask a friend. You know, there's a whole bunch of people in this room that have a variety of different skills. Talk about that amongst yourselves, like, hey, I'm really good at this, I struggle with this. I bet there's somebody in this room that's like, hey, I could really use an editor. I know a lot of you have amazing skills that you could share. So try to bounce that off of each other. Yeah, if you also get images are critical. Try to get some good shots of your artwork as you're making it, when you're finished with it. I suck at that, or at least did for a really long time. I mean, my photos I gave Steve in my little flip book back in the day, oof, they were really bad, but thankfully he saw a couple in real life and gave me a shot. Not everybody gets that opportunity, so try your best to like get, you know, high resolution photographs of your work. If you don't know how to do that, ask a friend that's got a good camera. I see one right in the front. I know that there's a lot of other people in the community that do that kind of work. So again, lean on your friends, ask for help, trade services. We're all good at trading. So work on your CV, look it up if you need some help with that. There's a lot of things online that you can search for too. And then your pricing. You know, I know that there have been a lot of people that have some struggles with figuring out what to price their work at. That's something that I can sometimes help with. I've had a friend that has asked me about that in the past.
Inappropriately, I've now learned, she told me in front of all of you.
You know, again, talk to your friends, reach out.
We've all made similar mistakes.
Yes,
I sent that whole Dropbox.
But also, like, you know, kind of looking at some of the other galleries and spaces around, like, it can help to compare. But again, that's something that you can kind of bounce off your friends and look around and, yeah, let me know if I can help you with that too. But opportunity loves somebody that is prepared. But again, as I said before, my superpower is, I think I'm professional enough, but I want you to feel comfortable. I want you to feel like this is a space for all of us. We can create art, we can make something powerful. We don't have to be snooty about it, right? I just want, I want a little bit of that to come throughout. You know, I started at an organization that felt very intimidating when I walked in, because I felt like I wasn't going to be good enough, and yet I feel like I'm thriving in that space because of the people that I have met that have taught me so very much, and because they've helped me thrive, and because I get to lift them up, and I do my best to do that in a thoughtful way. So this is my opportunity to try to help all of you be more prepared to approach somebody. So feel a little bit less intimidated when you walk into that space. I want you to feel strong and confident in what it is that you make. Don't come in apologizing. Come in and say, you know, is there a space for the kind of thing that I make? And, you know, make it easy for them to say yes to you through those factors. I'm happy to share any of this information with you after the fact. I can share this slide. And I guess at this point, I'll open it up to questions, because I know that there will probably be some specifics that I glazed over, but I know these three probably have questions, but thank you for listening to me drum.
I have a question.
Do you want to wait
that
for
there
the
was
mic?
sorry. Sorry.
Thanks, Terry.
You mentioned that there were 8 galleries at the Washington Pavilion, and they each have different themes dependent on the sponsor.
Correct.
Is that listed on the website, or how do we
It
find
is.
that out?
In fact, I printed out somewhere, here we go, and I'll put it over here for you guys to look at.
Perfect.
But yeah, we have 8 galleries listed on the website. It does tell you like how many linear feet it has, kind of lays out exactly what they are. I believe on the website there's a description of each of those galleries and like what their theme kind of is.
Okay.
But again, you know, reaching out through email. I do have my business cards in the back that you can send me messages through, and I can kind of just describe some of those. Some of them are a little bit more open, depending. Like the Everest Gallery, it's the largest one. If you have enough work to fill that space, that's usually a qualifier. But again, yeah, we do have some of those spaces. Like the Contemporary, for example, is the only room that doesn't have it's more of a closed off space. So it lends itself more to like projection art, something that requires more darkness, or like if you've got something a little bit more, maybe less family friendly, we've got more nudity or something like that, that might be a more ideal space for the kind of exhibition you might put together. But that's one of the things that we consider. Again, and we do kind of try to rotate the exhibitions based on what everything else is. So I'm not going to do a landscape show next to a landscape show next to a landscape show, right? So again, we try to make sure that there's something for everybody, you know, that's going to show throughout the space.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions right after that?
Does size matter? You know, when you I come up with that one. When you're doing your art, I mean, you know, sometimes I've seen shows where it's just small art, but for the most part, when people come in and they're setting up an appointment, are you looking mainly for bigger pieces, or really doesn't matter?
You know, I think that's a really relevant question, and I'm glad you asked that. So, depending upon when we're talking about art consulting, or we're talking about gallery spaces, and again, it depends too upon the client. So, as we mentioned, you know, a portion of what I do for the pavilion has to do with art consulting, and it is related to what the client is asking for. And so we'll go through a process with them and ask, you know, what are the things that you love? Who are you serving? What kind of space do we have? Are we, you know, are you looking for local art? Are you looking for abstract? What kind of a theme are we trying to fill? And then also, again, the space. So I find that depending upon what the budget is and what the spaces are, we do try to curate that, sometimes based on existing work. So, you know, if I have, let's say I have that wall right back there, that's probably 8 feet by 8 feet, I'm guessing. So, you know, like we might say that would be wonderful for 3 pieces at 36 inches wide. You know, if we're looking for something consistent, or, you know, maybe we want a gallery wall that's going to be a variety of different pieces. So I think sometimes the scale can make a sale or break a sale. One thing that we found difficult in some of those spaces is some clients want huge art, and galleries do not always have space for large art. So at a place like Greenfellas, they don't always have large real estate to hang your giant painting. If you're gonna do a giant painting, you get one, or maybe 2 or 3 tops. So if you choose to do a really large piece, you're devoting a lot of that to 1, 2, or 3 pieces. So, I mean, I want you to create what it is that you feel like you want to create, or whether that's a large piece or a small piece. I think it's nice for artists to have a variety of things to choose from, because then if you're an artist that can commission something, or you take commissions, we can say, hey, I have 5 examples of works that they've done on these scales. It's going to cost you this much to do it at 4 feet by 6 feet. So that might also be something to consider. Are you an artist that would be open to commissions? If you are, you need to figure out what you're going to charge to do that. So if that's a square inch price, you know, $1.50 per square inch, or is it your time? You know, I charge $50 an hour to create that work. So that's up to you to decide how you want to value that. But that is something to consider. But really, again, I think that's just per artist. What is it that you feel? But I think it's, again, a good idea to have a variety of sizes available.
Okay.
That would be my
Thank
thought.
you.
Yeah.
So this is a question, I've been a few times to Washington Pavilion and the Visual Arts Center. I've noticed the framing is really done beautifully and very consistent. How does that work? Let's say, as a photographer, I get a show, and like, how does it, do I do my own framing, or is that something
Sure.
that
Yeah, so the pavilion has a selection of frames that are in-house, in a variety of sizes. So depending upon like what your stipend is, and that's usually dependent upon like the space. So Gallery 301, for example, is like the entrance space. Usually a stipend for that one is like between $200 and $500. So not a ton of money, but that allows you to, you know, print your work, and if you're, you know, printing your photographs, we can put all of those pictures in frames. And then those will be on display with our framing, and then, you know, you'll get your photographs back unless you sell them. So it's not necessarily something that you have to do, but generally with like an original painting or something like that, you are going to have it ready to go. But photography is kind of a different story. More often than not, the Gallery 301 is where we focus on our photography, because it is the one gallery that's an unaccredited space, meaning that it has some light that comes through those gallery windows, and that's the one area that we can get away with showing photography without having, you know, the light pollution being an issue. Doesn't mean that's the only room that we do photography in, but it does often become the space for that.
Thank you.
Thanks. Hello. What, if you're able to give this information, what would you say the current time frame is? I know in previous years, a lot of the art consultation and submissions to exhibits kind of were MIA over the last 10 years. But if you can, you know, is there a time frame that you guys are kind
As
of
far
looking
as
at?
like art consulting or the galleries?
Exhibits or art consulting, I would say.
So it shifts depending upon the gallery space, but usually we're at about a year to 2.5 years, because they're on like typically a 6-month period, 4 to 6 depending. Sometimes there are traveling exhibits that come through that like throw a wrench in things, and then everything shifts, and those come up from time to time. But we do try to keep it on a 6-month rotation so that my life isn't hell. But yeah, that's generally how we do that. But yeah, six months is the window. Right now we're at about 1.5 to 2.5 years for the spaces. But again, it just kind of depends on which gallery gallery we're talking about. Yeah. Hi.
Oh, yes, do you have space for like interactive artwork, teaching? I can think of several other possibilities with Rose Molly. I'm at the courthouse every month,
We'd love
like
that.
next Tuesday. I'll be there again, and I can, I do say all sorts of things, so I'd like to visit with you on some of that.
Yeah, so we do have different kinds of events that we'll have within the galleries. We have, there's a children's studio when you first come into the Pavilion's Visual Arts Center through the Gallery 301. Right around the corner is it used to be Raven. It's no longer sponsored under Raven. It's just the children's studio right now. So that's a place that we have programming for youth that will be interactive. However, we also do some different programming with exhibitions that are going on. So one of the next ones we're doing is called Art After Dark. That will feature Sue as one of our artists that's in one of the exhibitions that is Fiber in Three Voices. So she's one of the artists, Emily Anderson, and Amy Jarding is the other. So those three textile artists will be in from 6 to 8 p.m. and they will be doing some work in-house that will show not only how they do the work, but will include you in creating some. So takeaways, Sue, I believe, is making bookmarks, and we'll kind of show the process, and we'll have some of the fabric that she uses. So there will be other opportunities, and I would love to connect with you. Because I love rose mauling, and I think that would be something that would connect us to our heritage and also the art behind it. So I'm always interested in linking those kinds of practices and teaching. We are a place that's here for education as well. So be glad to connect with you. But yes, that is something that we do often. We also try to connect each exhibit with our education programming. So Lynn Jones is someone that's worked at the Pavilion. I think she's been there 15 years, and she does amazing different kinds of programs and touch carts and things like that. So you can walk into a space and she'll have a spot just for kids, but also for adults that kind of breaks down the exhibit. To talk about the basics that even if you aren't art focused or art minded, it will give you a way to begin and a way to talk about the art and really relate. And also for our kids that want to touch everything, it'll be touch this, not that. So we're again trying to make this a place that feels safe. I've always hated that feeling of little kids coming into this gallery in particular and their moms were me don't touch anything, don't touch it. I'm wait, touch this. Let's touch this together. I want your kids and I want your young people and I want you to be able to do that. So again, this is about educating and making people feel safe and comfortable, and learning those practices is important. So yes, thank you for asking. Answer the anger.
Is this thing on?
It is on the internet.
It's just for the Facebook, yeah.
For Facebook. Oh wait, what was my question?
I don't know.
So, what is there a popular medium today? I mean, is there something you receive too much of? Or is there, and what's trending? Not that I'm trying to chase a trend, but.
I don't know about that. I mean, we get a lot of paintings, and I'm a painter, so I love that, but I think I'm always trying to explore things that, Sioux Falls doesn't always get. I want to bring the outside in. We are a growing city. We have a lot of amazing artists here. And yet I want to see some artists from outside come in so that people understand you don't always have to go to the big city to see something special. This can be a metropolitan place here, and that can inspire artists here to make something more. So I guess I love the outreach part because I love getting to know everyone here, and I love to like reach out a little further. I got to go to Fargo recently and see an exhibition at the Plains Art Museum, and that was wonderful. Even just going a few hours north to see, again, more Midwest artists that, you know, they're just over the border, but like, wow, there's so many more that I don't know that I want to share so that we can, you know, just broaden our horizons, just get more inspiration. So I'm looking for, you know, new age artwork, something that we've not seen, something that like just blows our minds a little bit, expands what our horizons are. So yeah, I'm looking for all of it. Blow my mind. Yeah.
Oh, Mike's over there. It's okay.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I have two questions. If you are the artist that attend a lot of people, what's the trajectory? How do you get back?
Say the first part.
So if you're an artist that is just awkward and weird and you attend a lot of people, any suggestions on that? Because you just talked about it's a small community.
Yeah.
And whatever.
I mean, I think there's a lot to be said for stepping in and saying, like, I think we started on the wrong foot. Let's start over. Here's what I have to say. Like, I mean, I think that means a lot to me to say, like, hey, you know, let's try again. Let me start over.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Not at all.
And then the other one was, you talked about bringing outside in, and I was just curious if the Washington Pavilion curated traveling shows of us, or that, like, they go.
I would love that, and I think that's something I'm pushing for. We just need more money, maybe. Believe it or not, in the VAC anyway. I would absolutely be. I think I would be thrilled to be able to share the artists that we have here out, because I think our artists here are so special. I think we have a lot to offer that could be going outward. So even in that trip to Fargo recently, we were talking with they have 2 female curators, so of course I was super psyched to see that. But we want to continue to work and meet and learn about artists that they have there and share artists here. So we were talking about having those kinds of programs, but again, it's like opening that communication, so we need to be able to go to meet them to, you know, bring them back and forth. So I'm gonna keep going to all the art shows on all my free time. I'm going to Las Vegas, and I'm gonna go see every art exhibit that I can and bring home all that information. So when you see something cool or know of a cool artist, like, send it my way. I'm always open to hearing that kind of stuff, so don't be shy with that kind of thing. Just don't send it to my Instagram.
Hey there. So I realized that I didn't introduce what I actually did when I said what I said earlier, and it's nature and architecture photography. So that being said, my pal here with another photographer. That being said, I made great inroads out in DC with marketplaces and kind of shows and that kind of thing where you're able to sell, you know, prints and stretch canvases and that kind of thing, depending on what the folks wanted that you knew were going to be attending. Is there kind of a lay of the land for that in this area, or some pointers that you could give about that kind of aspect of all of this?
Absolutely. So when we do consulting projects and we have, you know, a larger scope, so when we have, like, we've been doing one with the One Stop, for example, that one is kind of interesting in that that one was fundraised for, so it's not like the state is paying for that project. That one has been fundraised through the pavilion, so we technically own the artwork and it's on loan. So we put out a call for photography, and from there we have kind of put all of those images together, and then that's like sorted through their program. So they kind of give us ideas of what they like, and then we curate from there. So that said, when we put out those calls, we typically will use something like Cafe, and that is a program that I encourage all serious artists to work through. I know that there are other avenues, that's just the one I'm personally familiar with, but that's been excellent for just different calls throughout the United States, but locally that's been great for us. That allows you to like upload your photographs, you have all of your information saved, so then you can do that locally where you have your photographs kind of uploaded, and then you can apply really quickly to those projects. Whenever we do those calls, we put it up on our website, and I know that there are other avenues as which are are put out on like the Sioux Falls Arts Council website. Art South Dakota has the website that they share those calls as well. Again, we're trying to do a little better in that department. I think we've got some progress coming here the next year or so, but yeah, I'm hoping that we have some better ways to get that information out. But yeah, that's the process so far. But Cafe is the best way to access that, and you can kind of search that through that service.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm gonna use the mic again. I have a few questions. My first one, there was an emerging artist call that the Washington Pavilion did, and I think it was 70 artists that submitted for that, which I thought it was a great show, and I was just wondering if you're gonna plan to do that again?
Yes, that is one that we did in partnership with Stage and Gallery. So they kind of led that process because it was their event. We hosted the event. We took on a lot of the, people brought their artwork to us. They could sign up at the pavilion, but it was really done in partnership. So they did the majority of like the advertising for that. But we do plan to do that again.
Awesome.
Again, kind of working through that schedule is a couple things have just changed with an exhibition that'll be coming soon that you'll hear about with a very recognizable name. So keep your ears peeled for that. I can't say much more than that yet, but that will be coming out shortly. So yeah, we're hoping to have even more artists submit to that exhibition. So yeah, keep your eyes and ears out. And then of course the Art Collective will be happening again it's always in June and December.
Yep.
So.
Sorry, I have a few more.
Oh, go for it.
Sorry, Hannah. My other question was about the art curating process.
Yeah.
Can you touch more a little bit on that in case for those that don't know what that process is?
Yeah, as far as like picking out artwork and, setting up the shows and things like that, is that what you mean? Yeah. So I feel very blessed that I get to be in a position to, help pick shows and put them together. So Jana Anderson and I have worked together now for 3-4 years. And so when we have an artist that we've chosen for a space, we'll often, look through their body of work. Sometimes all of it's kind of delivered at one time. Some artists are way more organized than others. So sometimes you don't know what the hell we're getting when it shows up. We just know that, this is this body of work. And then we might, lay out all the artworks in the space and decide what feels right for the layout, the design. Other artists might have a really detailed idea of what that looks like. John Peters was one that we worked with. He was actually a professor of mine from Augustana, and he had a 50-year retrospective. And his work is eclectic and unexpected and absolutely beautiful, but like a very tedious process of putting everything together because some of his pieces are this big. I mean, just tiny, tiny, tiny. So it was critical that we did this very perfectly because he created a diorama of the entire gallery and took photographs of each piece and had a tiny printout of it that was then, set into the space. So you know, some artists are very specific about how they want it all set up. So, you know, we work with the artist to, you know, put that all together in whatever way they see fit. So we really want to work together with them to accomplish that goal in whatever way we can. So some want to be a little bit more hands-off, some want to really be there for the whole process, and that's kind of the delight and the dilemma of working with artists in that way. But that's my favorite part is really the curation process and the real setup. But we thankfully have a few people on our team that help us with like the heavy lifting. I do really love the scissor lift. Like I had my feet up in the air, and I got to hang a stuffed worm. So it's probably like the gold star on my lapel that day. My kids were pretty proud.
Yeah, upside down crib was really pretty.
Yeah, right?
That one will go down in history, I think. So, yeah, I don't know if I answered your question on that, but, you know, each show is a process. Each one has different parameters and spaces, but we do really want to make sure that we accomplish what the artist is trying to do and create for that space. And, you know, that's been a process that I've learned over time of screwing up and not asking enough questions and, you know, doing things wrong first. So I'm glad I have those things behind me so that I can learn and ask the right questions and try to be there for them and do the right thing by them too.
Okay, I have one more, sorry.
You're killing me.
Sorry.
Kidding.
From a buyer's point of view, like
Yeah.
if someone were to go to the gallery and love a piece and they want to purchase it, how
Yeah.
would they do that?
Sometimes it depends on the artist. We do try to make them available for sale. You know, that's not our primary goal in the museum setting.
Sure.
You know, we're not as available to like be salespeople.
Yeah.
The museum is more about education and putting together a beautiful exhibit. But again, like we want to support our artists the best that we can. So we put QR codes on each of the exhibits, bios and all that, so that we make them available for a list, and then they can contact us directly for any of those sales. And then some other pieces are just not available for sale. We do take a commission from the artwork that's sold in the galleries. It's a 70-30.
Okay.
So the artist gets 70%, the gallery takes 30% of that sale. So that is something to consider if you are an artist that goes into a gallery, know what your prices are going to be. Because again, like there's the, you know, the setup and all those kinds of things that you'll
Is
expect.
that pretty standard?
I think so. I mean, I think galleries are gonna range from, I think 70-30 is
Pretty good,
pretty,
actually.
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah, thank you for your
Artists,
transparency on
most
that.
places are 60-40.
Right.
50.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great.
It really just depends on what they're doing. So again, in a museum setting, our goal isn't sales. So we're not going out there and like talking you and hyping up the work to make a sale.
Yeah.
Versus a gallery that's really like pitching you and like putting you out there. Now, when it comes to art consulting, I think it might be more of a 60-40 because we're pitching you to clients. We're taking all your measurements and we're putting your image up on a wall, superimposing it because a lot of those clients like cannot visualize. So our work, there's a lot of extra work that goes into that to like take your artwork and put it on the wall and make it look like what it's hopefully gonna look like in that space. So there will be some differences when it comes to that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
No more?
Day.
I had a quick question. So you talked about art consulting and how you kind of figure out what that person wants for their space, what the space looks like. So when you think about pulling an artist's art to that space, do you already have a list of artists that you pull from? Is it everybody who's been in a show at the Pavilion in the past, or how does that work?
I mean, so one thing, I actually have created another, like a sign-up sheet so that it's like a fillable document. It's not on that website yet. However, I'm in process of making that easier for artists to sign up so that I have that ongoing list. But we have that list of all of the artists that have shown. Between Jana and I, who've worked in this community for 25, 40 years of us combined, we have a lot of knowledge of what's going to fit. We have the Arts Council's website, that's a directory. I think we've got a lot of work to do on the directory, however, it is a really great way to access artists here. Again, we're just kind of looking for what is it that they are searching for, what story is the business telling, who are they serving, so we're really trying to work within our group to find that right fit. Sometimes the clients have a desire or specific artists that they want to work with, but also they're going to tell us like, okay, we're looking for a muralist, we're looking for a sculpture. More often than not, it's paintings, photographs. But again, we're going to do our damnedest to give them a really well-rounded list. But also, it's really important to us as consultants that we're not pitching the same stuff. Like, I don't want to go to a business and see that same photograph, that same photographer in every single business, because that is so rampant in banks and all the places here. We don't want that. We don't want to continually see the same artist represented in every business, because then we're all the same. So our goal is to differentiate those spaces and show variety and also influence our artists to make different kinds of work too. Mix it up a little bit too. I mean, we want you to still be you, but also, go outside of your box a little bit too. So
I find the consulting part just fascinating, very different than curating, but also not at the same time.
yeah.
2 questions there. For consulting, what percentage is businesses that need some help or residential? And then what percentage is in Sioux Falls specifically compared to
Yeah,
everywhere
great
else?
questions. So far, I mean, we've only been doing consulting now. I mean, again, I've only been there for about 3 years. And I'd say, our time kind of fluctuates. So sometimes it's like, 60-40. I might be, 60% consulting, 40% gallery, or flip-flop. Sometimes it's 80% gallery and 20%. Just depends on like the time frame on, production. Are we buying the artwork now? Did a client finally make decisions on what they want? I pitched, 15 artists, and they finally decided they want this thing, but now it's sold, so we have to start the process over. So the timing is really important. Sorry, what was the part of your question?
Yeah, just also the business versus residential.
Primarily businesses at this point, just based on like the time that we have available, because more often than not, residential, they're looking for maybe 1, 2, 3s, and in that case, I'm gonna send them to Rayfeld's, I'm gonna send them to Piper, I'm gonna send them to the different galleries, L's, whatever it might be, supporting our local artists that I know are represented, and maybe to individual galleries if they're looking for original works. But that often, we just don't have the woman power to handle a smaller group. More often than not, it's businesses.
Okay.
But who knows, if we get a great, huge team, maybe we could do more of it.
Right.
For now, that's what it is.
How many would you say are outside of the Sioux Falls area?
Most of it has been Sioux Falls. I think we've gone, we've been out to like Huron, we've been to Brookings. A couple of the businesses that we're working with here in Sioux Falls also have like Minneapolis, Rapid City, sister businesses or, home bases elsewhere. So hoping to grow that, beyond, but again, our focus is here for now.
It's fascinating. And one more question, is going into the Washington Pavilion to look at those 8 different exhibits, is that free or do you pay?
There is a fee.
Okay.
However, First Fridays are always free for those receptions. So So, April 17th is the next artist reception, and that will actually be celebrating 5 different galleries. And that's several different artists, so I'm hoping that people show up for that. So April 17th is that event. But generally speaking, there's a general admission price that gets you both into the Science Center and the Visual Arts Center. But again, just come talk to me if you need it, because I just want more people to see art. But we want to keep the doors open too, so thank you for your support.
Thank you. Anyone else have
Thank you
questions?
again for your time. If anybody wants to grab me after the fact, I'm gonna need more water. But thanks again. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.